welcome once again to The Sage. And as usual, thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being our wonderful audience. Within the past few weeks, we've embarked on a journey of learning how to fend more for ourselves, given the circumstances we find ourselves in at this point in time in our country. As I had said in recent episodes, we are going through a very, very remarkable time, a time of pain, and even for many of us, a time of desperation. For the first time in at least in my recent history, I see thousands and thousands of us, people around me, people reporting from across the country about their inability to feed themselves. We've witnessed unprecedented inflation in our country. Inflation that has most unfortunately affected our food, our staples to a large extent. Children in the communities, children in many homes are suffering from malnutrition. Many of us adults are also, of course, hungry. It is a time, like I said in a previous episode, of shock for we Nigerians. I had gone into some detail about what are the contributory factors to our situation today. I will not go back to that. But that understanding was necessary because we need to know what is causing our problems, even as we cry out with one voice for help. A great deal of the problems come from policies, issues of governance, issues of provision of infrastructure, and so on and so forth, issues of insecurity. And unfortunately, sustainable long-term solutions and immediate-term solutions need to come from the macro level. Our government, our leadership must do something. This is a crisis. However, even as we join thousands who are calling on them to do something, even begin with palliative measures, we as a people are strong and resilient. We will not fold our hands and die. We therefore turned to every family in the country, and our cry from the Sage is that let us begin to do the little we can to put food on our table. It can be done. And so in the previous episodes, we've looked at issues of vegetable farming. Many of our normal staple vegetables can be grown in quantities enough for our table, many times in our own containers, in our own compounds, in our own little soil, and we've demonstrated that in previous programs. We've talked about fish farming. It can indeed be done on a small family scale, even with amazing small containers. It can be done. We've discussed that. In this episode, we're venturing into another area. We're going to discuss with experts the concept of poultry farming, small farm that families can do that puts essential required proteins on their table. And so, to our viewers, I say, please be part of this. Listen to it. Even as we produced it, we learned a great deal. I have members of my team on set and in the office who rushed and went and bought containers themselves and started. It is truly inspirational, and it's such a joy when you succeed. But more than joy, it is essential for every family now. Most of us in Nigeria are struggling with the prices of food today. Every little effort counts. If enough of us, a critical mass of us, are doing things domestically with family, our family as the goal, as our target, we will impact on the huge demand that exists in terms of food supply and availability. And so we're back on this journey. I am excited because, like I said before, in doing it, in producing them, I've learned so much. So stay with us. You will enjoy the knowledgeable, expert guests I have on set today who have come to share with you frankly and demystify this concept of poultry farming for food on the family table. Thank you. Stay with us. You will enjoy it. Welcome back to The Sage. As I said before the intermission, there's a great deal of learning ahead of us. We are particularly privileged to have 3 very knowledgeable young men. Very knowledgeable about animal farming in general, but particularly about poultry farming. They are here, they're wonderful young men. I've been very impressed with them. And they've come willing to share their knowledge and their expertise and to encourage all of us to venture in, to solve the situation we find ourselves in, to put food on the table for our families. On my right, I have Mr. John Tokula. He is the CEO of Tonnerre Farm. And I'm so proud to say again, as I usually do say, that John is actually a graduate, a fellow of the C4C Entrepreneurship Program. Graduated a few years ago, took over the family business and continues to thrive in both. He does all of it. He does fish farming, he does poultry, he does vegetable farming. He's an expert in all of them. And when I asked John to come on set, he informed me very proudly that he's actually also doing a master's degree, a master's program. And I said, I hope your businesses are still working. And he says to me, that is what is paying for my master's program. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Welcome, John, to the set. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we're very proud of you. We're very proud of the fact that you demonstrate in life that you can be an astute business person, an astute young business person, but still further your life and your career. So yes, well done, son.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to the set.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
On my left, let me start at the far end. I have Richard Abegunde Adebayo. All right. Richard is a graduate of animal science. He's a CEO with a partner of over farms. A great deal of knowledge that comes from the educated minds, educated young man. He knows a great deal about animal science, but he's backed that up with venturing into it himself. Many people do a course, but go do something else. But your passion has translated to action, and you've been rearing animals and poultry for the past 5 years, right? Well done. Welcome on set. And last, but certainly not the least, is a lovely young man on my left. Opaleye Olakunle, who is also part, by coincidence, he happens to be the Part 9 of Hoover Farms and is a graduate of animal production and health. You can see that let me say that John is actually a graduate of economics, but who has now decided to explore the economics of animal farming. But these two are experts in that field and have been practicing what they were taught. A great deal of experience in animal production and issues related to the health of animals. So thank you, because those are valuable areas for the discussion we have before us.
Okay.
Welcome on set.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So where do we start? Because there's so much information to impart. Many people are often worried about animal farming, particularly poultry. One of the worst affected areas that we're talking about is actually the issue of meat, particularly poultry, chicken. The prices are phenomenal. Many reasons are given for this. Many of us can no longer buy chicken. But what we're proposing today on set is that if demystified, if we provide enough and the right information, families can actually grow enough chickens for their own family needs. This is what we're proposing, correct? Right? So they're going to discuss candidly with us, tell us the risks and challenges, but tell us the how. And they assured me before we began that it can be done and done successfully. And it is not as challenging as we would think when we're talking about farming for our table, rearing chickens for our table. And so let's start. Where do we start except at the beginning? When you now begin to explore the idea of poultry farming for your family, what should you begin to plan for?
Thank you. It's a great question, actually, because for a family to start a poultry business, it's really, there are some certain things that a family needs to consider first in order to start a poultry business. Number one, you have to have the idea, the knowledge of why do you want to do this, and are you doing it for egg or are you doing it for meat? So if a family is going into a poultry production, so you have to consider some factors. Also, that's the planning and the preparation for it. So in preparation, we have to talk about the type of birds that you have to go for. So if at all you want to go for a laying bed, which they call layers, it's for table egg, where you can be getting eggs as a table egg. And if it is for meat, so you rather go for broilers, whether you can use it as a source of meat and a source of protein as a meat product. So that's the first consideration that you have to.
The type of bird.
Birds you have
and the
to
primary purpose of that bird.
That.
Yeah.
So, and then also we have a dual purpose birds too that can also serve for either egg and meat. So together, instead of going for egg alone or going for meat alone. So there is a dual purpose due to the advance in technology, actually. So there is a dual purpose base like that can both serve for egg and also meat.
Let me answer like my audience and say that for me, as a layman out there, thinking about embarking on this, I'll probably say perhaps for the dual purpose one, We're talking about food on the table from my family, immediate and perhaps nuclear, wider family and perhaps a few friends. So I will breed both. I will want some egg that we can still be eating, and of course,
also,
yeah.
Definitely.
So what I'm saying is perhaps for the majority of our audience, they may need to consider this one that is dual purpose. Yeah. Many people are like me. We're novices about poultry, okay? So now the very important information that's in what you have said is that in terms of what we can buy, there are day-old chicks. Some of us don't know that. But also, what is the other variety?
Brooded ones.
Brooded
ones.
They're called brooded.
Brooded. So
Okay.
they've been raised to like 2 weeks. At that stage, they can withstand some harsh weather condition.
Okay.
So that's the
Very
next.
important.
You don't have to worry about taking care of them, because at that day you have to wake up in the night, check them, how they are doing, are they faring well? You put lights, you put heat, so that they'll be comfortable.
But what would there be? What is the advantage? What is the possible advantage of day old, since it's so intense and we amateurs do? Why would a family embark on day olds?
What is the now is it's cheaper.
Okay.
It's cheaper than the brooded ones. Now, look at this now. Person that brooded it, he paid for the money to buy it. He will provide for means of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So he has paid for all the stress. He has done the work for you.
Okay.
So you coming here to come and carry it, there will be a payment for what he has done.
I see. So the brooded ones are more expensive to buy, even allowing for the fact that we have inflation that is out of control. Be that what at this present point in time would you say is the cost of a day old versus the cost of a brooder?
Everything comes to play. The cost of the day old, the cost of feed, everything comes together to increase. That brought about the hike in the price of product that we have today. Now, because now if I want to buy before, we do buy a bag of feed. I'm 8,000 naira, but now it's around 20,000 naira per bag of feed.
It's how much?
20,000 naira
Wow.
per bag of feed.
Yeah.
So put that into consideration now. Before we buy day holder, maybe like 250, 200. That's when it's even high. But now we can buy that around. We have 700, sometimes 800.
For a day old.
For a day old chicken.
One piece.
One piece. So as of now, I think it's around 570 as of now. So that's why it's important. So if you can't go through the stress of keeping them or raising them, you just buy it to do them. Though the price is high, but it's safer for you.
What is the approximate cost of the brooded?
As of now, looking at the cost of everything, should be around 2,000 upward.
For one.
So that's the challenge. But still, yes, don't look at the price.
What would I be looking at? Isn't it better to go and buy a chicken for 9,000?
If you still want to go and buy meat outside, the price will still be high. So it's more okay if you can just take pain and nurture them too much. So you have a good meat for yourself. It's not like you'll be sure what you are eating.
Let me add to what he said. You see, you said, is it not better for you to go buy outside? And the thing is just that
Kukuma just go buy 9,000 chicken and eat.
And the thing is just that this is something you breed by yourself. Like there are many birds out there, and they feed them with a lot of chemicals for them to grow well, to grow fast, not grow well, please, to grow fast. So these chemicals, they give them boosters. Some chemicals, they make some chemicals. So these chemicals are harmful. They've entered the meat. So you coming to eat that meat, you are under disadvantage. But the one you feed by yourself and you know how you fed them, the chances of that one being affecting you negatively is lower.
How long would it take for the brooder to grow to ready for the table? About how long would we need to devote to the task of rearing and feeding and so on?
If you buy the day old, it may take around 6 to 8 weeks. But somebody that buy the brooded one, so within 4 or 5 weeks, they're already mature to be eaten. But depending on how they've been taken care of, or if they are well taken care of, the feeding, so within 6 weeks, they are ready for meat.
So for commercial poultry farmers, most of them sell off their products at 6 weeks.
Yes.
Okay, for the family farmer, now we're saying, you buy the brooded one. You say to be ready in about, did you say 4 weeks?
So within 1 month, 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks, the meat will be ready for them to consume.
But in the interim, the bird has been laying eggs.
The combined one. So the combined one is ready for meat at let's say 7 weeks, 8 weeks upward. So, but if it is for a fowl to start laying, to start producing egg, it's up to under minimum weeks of 16 weeks. That's when it start dropping the table eggs.
So the dual purpose that can serve as meat and for the egg. So when let's say you've kept the birds for like after they start laying maybe for like 6 months or 7 months, you now feel like oh, they're not laying properly again, you can keep them for meat. You can be eaten as well. So that's why they are called the dual purpose. So you can kill them for meat and you can also lay egg for it.
You know, I'm a family businesswoman. So to me, I'm already summarizing what you're saying okay, perhaps if I bought 20 brooded, chickens with dual purpose, the dual purpose one, I would have two strategies, two plans. Some that by 4-5 weeks I can take from time to time and eat on the table.
Let me reframe that.
Okay.
For dual purpose beds, that's the demerit that is there. Before they mature to eat, we have eggs, especially eggs for layers. We have for meat, especially that's broilers. So broilers mature at 6 weeks, as we said earlier. So then layers start laying 16 weeks to 18 weeks. But for dual purpose beds, so it's also they start from for them to start. You can eat on that. You can feed on them, like to eat for you to make them to be ready for the table. So it means they start from 16 weeks upward for the maturity.
So you have to grow them for 16 weeks. You can without touching
them. You either decide that you are going for egg alone, or you are going for meat alone. But if you want to say, okay, you are patient enough as a family woman, so you can I'll wait for that duration of 16 weeks.
4 months.
4 months. So that's when you can, your birds are matured for harvesting, for eating.
So now if you want for meat, it takes a shorter time. Or if you want for eggs, it takes a longer time. But note, the layers, let me use the layers. The layers can also be used as meat when they don't produce eggs as they used to. Let's call them, they call them old layers. If you go to the market, see people, I beg, please, I need old layers. Understand? I think most times people prefer that one.
We call them fowl. And then we call them because they're tough. In our traditional soups, we like fowl. Old layers.
So
I think that's very interesting. And to our audience, I'm thinking in my mind, what is our advice here? Because this is a very important decision to make as you embark on it. It's going to affect your budgeting, which is the next thing, because then you need to, if this is what I have decided, this and this is what I want, then I also have to estimate the costs and know whether I have it before I embark. So these are the preparatory, very important activities. So the choice is there. Do you want eventually for your chicken to provide for your table both eggs and meat? In which case, therefore, bear in mind that when you start, you need to relax for 4 months feeding them. When I mean relax, I don't mean go and sit in your sitting room. I'm sure they agree with me. You need to be tending them for 4 months, right? But if you're getting eggs from them is not your primary objective, it is the fact that you need meat on your table for your family, then you can consider broilers, the ones that you can harvest early, so to say. In about 4 to 5 weeks, you can begin to use them for your table.
That's if you buy a brooded broilers.
Yes, if you buy brooded. I remember talking to you guys offsets, where you talked about the fact that one of the potential problem of day-old chicks is that it has to be bought. You have to buy plenty. Is that so? Can I just go buy 10 day-old chicks?
It's very much possible, but if you're buying from the manufacturers and they don't sell, people buy. They are wholesalers and they are retailers. So if you go to the wholesalers to buy, you buy them in cartons. So a carton is 50 pieces. we've got 50-day-old birds. But if you go to the retailers, they can sell it for you individually, like 10 pieces, 5 pieces, 20, as much as you want. But if you're going to the wholesalers, you're buying it as a carton. But my friend here, he also said something like coming together to buy from the wholesalers.
So get a few of other families of
and
your
that's
friends
yes,
and to also
come
so
together
okay.
and buy a carton.
So interesting. I mean, there's still so much to learn. But we do need to stop here for this week. But I think what we have learned now is that pre-planning is so important. Very, very important, because you need to make your decision, the right decisions, budget correctly, and then therefore know whether you can indeed plunge in and begin your own farming. And what the experts have shared is the fact that the type of chicken, you must make a decision about it. The age of the chicken you're buying, whether it's day-old or brooder, is also a decision point. And so that then allows you to go explore the market, the price, and also have an estimate of what do I need to begin to embark on this venture. Stay with us. Next week, when we come back, we're now going into the next steps. Having identified what you want and estimated the cost of it, what next? Don't miss it. Join us next week as we continue this discussion. We thank you.